This is a podcast for inspiring stories. I came across your post that definitely inspired me, and it kind of made me think a different angle of what it would be like to be a little person in public. And so you had an incident in public where someone like wasn't that nice and was trying to take a picture of you or what, and you went and wrote a post about it on Facebook that went viral because I mean I read it, it touched me. There was no self-pity, there was no there was really not even negativity. It was just like, hey, this is what happened, that's not nice, let's be kind, everybody, like let's educate ourselves. I just think people felt that. So
Yes.
could you tell a little bit about what led to writing the post and how it's been interpreted by people? I'm sure you're getting messages and
Yes, definitely. So it was Memorial Day, and we were at Sam's Club getting things for later that day, and then we were like, hey, let's get a hot dog. It's Memorial Day. Like,
for sure. Yeah.
true Memorial Day fashion, you have to have a hot dog. So I told my husband, I was like, okay, it's busy. Grab the kids, go find us a table, and I'll stand in line. And he's like, all right. I'm just minding my own business, waiting in line. And he goes, Ella wants to come to you. I'm like, okay. And Ella's my daughter, my 2-year-old daughter. And she yells, Mommy, and runs to me. But of course, right before that, I had noticed that this guy was staring at me. Nothing's new. Nothing's new by that. Everyone, I'm 4 feet tall. Everyone looks at me. And so he's staring at me. But she yells, Mommy, and runs to me. And he laughs out loud. And I was just like, oh, that bothers me. But don't let it show that it bothers
Right.
you.
Yeah.
Just shrug it off, shrug it off. And so Ella's then standing with me, and I see his phone come out, and I'm like, yep, it's coming.
Aw.
It's coming. Who's going to take a picture? So I just stare at him the whole time, like, just like dead face, like, because
So you caught
I mean,
him
I'm not
red-
going to smile for the photo.
Sure.
At this point, like, why am I going to give you a smiling photo? But I'm also not going to, throw a finger up or anything like that, because that just reflects back on me.
or pretend I don't know what's going on.
Yes.
Like you're gonna make me uncomfortable, I'm gonna make you uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Let me look at you.
And so he pulls it out, and I'm just looking at him, and he makes eye contact with me and immediately drops his eyes.
Coward.
And I was like, oh, yeah, it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah,
doesn't
it does.
Okay, this is great. But you're going to continue doing what you're doing. Okay, so he takes the picture. And as I'm staring at him, I realize his daughter, that's about the same age as my daughter, is right there in his arms, staring at his phone screen. And that is what broke my heart
Oh wow.
and made me want to write a post. Because in that moment, he is choosing to do this negative action instead of teaching his daughter about, oh, hey, look, there's someone that's different. And they're a mommy. Look, anyone can be a mommy. So he takes the picture after laughing, but she's staring at his phone, and that just crushed my heart. It crushed me. And so we continue on, and I get our food, and I sit down at the table, and I'm like fuming. Like flames are coming out of my ears.
Is it getting worse as time goes by too, and it's setting in? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that one.
And I'm like, all right, Austin, this is it. I've had enough. I have sat on this for far too long. I need to get this off my chest. I need to write a post that has needed to happen for a very long time. And he was like, all right, we'll do it. I was like, okay, I'm going to. He's like, okay, do it. I was like, all right, well, I might need your help. He's like, okay, let me know what you need. And I said, okay. And we sit there, and, I'm feeding the kids. I'm like, okay, well, when we're leaving here, I need you to take a picture of me pushing the cart, because people aren't going to understand it unless they see how
Okay.
big this cart
Yeah,
is
perspective.
compared to my size. So when we were leaving the store, I made him I didn't want my face in it. I was like, take a picture of my back of me pushing this cart. And I think because of that picture,
Yeah.
and then what I wrote is what made it blow up. I didn't expect it to blow up. I honestly just thought I was kind of journaling on my own Facebook page to my,
Sure.
2,000 people, to just get it off my chest and kind of be like, hey, can we just educate the world that people are different and differences are cool? Mm-hmm. And let's teach our kids instead of teaching them to be
Instead of looking for
our bad flaws. If we were to turn it around, they would then teach another person.
Yeah, and like you said, hey, look, she's a mommy. Like,
Yeah.
why don't we look for the similarities? You know,
Yeah.
what was the reaction from people? First of all, totally different question, but how long did it take before it like caught on? And then what was
It
pretty
was
quick?
it was within like the first like 2 days. It was
Okay.
just everywhere.
And are you getting messages from people and
Yeah.
like privately and stuff? You getting a lot of
Privately,
support and
a lot of other little moms are messaging me and they're like, thank you so much. I've been struggling with this with my children. I am afraid to go out in public. I just have my groceries delivered now because I don't want to face it.
be on or face people
Face
staring.
people and what they say, how they take
So
pictures.
this is common.
Oh,
This
this is common for every single little person.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's it like to go out? So you know you're going to get stares, that's
Yes.
for sure. But are most people like nice and polite? And if they do stare, they try to catch themselves and turn away? Or is there really? Dang it! Oh, I want to believe the good in the mass population.
I know.
Well, what's it like? So when you walk
So-
into a grocery store and everybody stares, and then what? Do they look away or?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
If you catch their eye, they'll look away. Majority of the time. My mom always taught me just smile at them. Just smile and say hi. Because you're a human just like they are, Janae. You're just short. So that's what I've always done. And I honestly have everything to credit to my parents and the way that they raised me.
Are your parents little people as
No.
well?
So I am the
Really?
only little person in my family, yes.
Wow.
It's a random genetic mutation. my
And your
dwarfism is.
children are not little
My
people.
children are not little. My husband is. We met through Little People of America.
What was it like to grow up as a little person socially?
Socially.
Yeah, how did it impact your social life?
So I haven't known any different. My entire life I've known that I was a little person. My mother
Really?
never hid that from me. So I can't even tell you like, oh, this is the day that I realized I was different, because she was always talking to me, because she always wanted me to know the facts about my dwarfism, the facts about myself, who I was, why I was this way. That way I had all the knowledge so no one could ever use anything against me to make me feel less than. And so I have to credit her 100% for that.
That's
one.
a really good strategy.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about all of it. Lay it all out,
Yeah.
and nobody can hit you with surprises.
Yes. And kind of a funny story. In second grade, it was show and tell, and I brought my baby doll in. And all the kids in my class were like, oh, but what's your baby going to be like? What's your, asking the questions that little kids ask. And I laid out the facts. I was like, if I marry a tall person, it is a 50-50 chance, because my dwarfism is a dominant dwarfism. So if I pass it on, that baby will be a little baby. And if I marry a person with my dwarfism, there's a 25% chance that that baby's tall, a 50% chance that that baby has our dwarfism, and then a 25% chance that it's lethal because
Oh.
the lungs don't develop fully. It's a double dominant because it's a dominant gene hitting twice. So, and I'm telling them all
Didn't know
this,
that.
and all of the kids are just like glued, I guess. And my teacher went back to my mom and she was like, so this is what happened today, and this is like what Janae told them. Is this all true? Like, I've never seen the kids this glued to
Engaged.
anything. This engaged. Like, this was wild. And my mom was like, yeah, she knows. Like, so that was fun. So honestly, my thing in life has always been education. I love educating.
Yeah, you mentioned that in that post.
Yeah.
Talk to that a little bit.
My degree is in special education and elementary education. So I always want people to know. If you ask the questions, ask the hard hitting questions. If you're curious, ask. If you see me in a store and you have a question, or your child has a question, you know what? Have your child ask me a question. I would love to answer your child's question. Because I hear when your child says, Mommy, they're small. Dad, they're small. And you go, shh, 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 don't say anything. I hear when you say that. And I have to just keep walking past. I want to say, hey, no, let them ask their questions. Because you're shutting them down right now.
Yeah, they're
And
just
they're
trying
just
to
wanting
learn.
to learn.
What would you want to educate people on as far as what it's like to be a little person, or just anything related to dwarfism, or you're big on education? You mentioned that in the
Honestly, just
post.
that
Like, what do you want
everyone is
people to know?
different. My difference is that you can see it. Whenever I walk into the room, you know I'm different. But everyone is different in their own way. I mean, you are tall, but I'm sure you're different in a different aspect as well. I mean, everyone has their own little piece about them that makes them them, that makes them
For
who they
sure.
are.
Take the time to look past differences and find what that is. And
Yes.
you meet really cool people doing that.
Yeah.
What are the biggest like accessibility challenges?
Oh. Life.
You know what's funny is
Go to the grocery store with me, please. I would
Right.
love to shop with you.
there's when we were going through I don't know, the last few years where every different type of minority group, not necessarily race minority, but just different minorities in society were showing up, and I want this accommodation, I want that accommodation, and complaining about this. You never heard anything from little people.
That's
Guys.
because we do not have a big enough group to make a fuss. We're trying.
What do you think the biggest challenges are?
For me, in my day, like in my current life, the biggest challenge is shopping because you can't reach anything. And people will get mad at you if you climb the shelves. I still climb the shelves. I have only had one shelf ever come down on me.
No.
And it was really embarrassing. But you know what? Life goes on.
Yep. So what do? Just wait for someone, ask them for help?
Yes, but sometimes people say no. I have had people say no. And that's what I'm like,
That's so
all right,
bizarre.
then I will climb the
what?
shelf. Okay. But now it's great because when I have my children with me, I just ask them, I'm like, hey, stand up right here in the cart. And can you reach this for mommy?
So your oldest is 2, right? She
Yes.
doesn't. Does she know that mommy's a little person versus other mommies are taller? Like,
I don't think she knows that her parents are small versus everyone else in the world. The only thing that I'm noticing that she's starting to notice is that when people are staring at us in the stores or making comments, she's starting to pick up on that because she's very observant.
I can't believe that's a common thing. I really didn't think that people would act like that on a mass scale. You know.
Oh, I get followed in stores, like followed around the entire store.
For what reason? Just curiosity, or just
Yeah, curiosity, taking photos, taking videos.
Okay. Did it get worse since like 2012 when social media first started? No, it's always been like
It's
that.
always been bad.
How do you
Yeah.
stay resilient to that? Like, how do you? Did it ever like get to you to
So,
where you're like, I'm not going in public.
I
I can't
don't
do
allow
this anymore.
myself to get mean and nasty to these people. And this is my mother's fault because she always told me, you are probably the only little person that these people are ever going to meet or run across or have an interaction with. And so if you are mean and nasty, that is how they are going to perceive
Oh wow.
all little people, which is
Wise mom.
which is
Sheesh.
a terrible weight to carry on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want to say something nasty. So I'll get in my car and I'll be like, rah!
Yeah.
Or I'll get home and I'll be like, Austin, I just have to vent and let it all out then. And I honestly, personally, don't notice other people around me when I'm out by myself or out with a group of friends. I notice when I'm out with my children, and that is probably because mama bear protection. But when I'm out with all my other friends, they all notice and it ticks them off. And I'm like, you guys don't say anything. Just let it be. Just let it be. They're like, but they're staring. They're taking pictures. And I'm like, it's okay. Yeah.
Did you ever experience bullying growing up?
A little bit. Thankfully, I went to a K through 8. So I was majority with the same kids since kindergarten. But some new kids would trickle in.
And is that typically where it came from? New kids that
New
aren't
kids,
used to.
yeah.
Okay, that
like in
kinda makes
4th
sense.
grade, I was out on the playground once. This is going to mortify you. I was out on the playground playing, and this boy came up to me, and he was like, "You're the perfect height." I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're the perfect height. I was like, I'm short. He's like, no, you don't have to get on your knees.
Oh boy.
And I was like, I don't understand what you're
How old
talking
was
about.
this kid?
We were in fourth grade.
Oh my
We were in fourth
gosh.
grade. And he said that to me, and I was like, you're weird. And I
Super
went off
weird.
playing. But I went home to my mom that day, and I was like, someone said this to me on the playground, and she just, like, broke her. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry, and had to explain it to me. And I was like, that's disgusting.
That's horrible. Oh man.
And I went back to school the next day, and I took care of it on the playground.
There you go. Take it to the streets.
Yeah. Back when you were probably allowed to take care of things on the playground.
Yeah. You could back then. Everything's
Yeah.
filmed now, and
Yeah.
everyone sues. You know, when I was growing up,
Yeah.
you could take your lumps, give your lumps, and that's
Yeah.
how you learn social boundaries.
Yeah, but I told him, I was like, you're disgusting, and that's disrespectful, and you can never talk about me like that ever again.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And did he?
No.
Good.
Actually, he ended up like being a pretty good, not friend, but like acquaintance through the years.
That's awesome. So he's just a young, dumb kid growing up saying young, dumb kid stuff.
That probably heard that kind of thing elsewhere and thought he was funny saying it to the other guys about me. Yes.
Do you feel like the media portrays little people properly? I mean, there's, shows with little families and funny characters in movies. Like, what do you think of the media representation?
I feel like the media representation is pretty good. TLC does a really good job with their shows. I'm really good friends with one of the families on there, and they do a really good job with educating. Now, I mean, there's always going to be negatives, but ultimately, I would say overall, it's a pretty good thing. I do wish little people could have normal roles instead of just like
Little person role.
little person roles,
Comic role, typically. Yeah.
like a serious role. Like, why can't they just be a doctor or a lawyer?
Just like they are in real life. Like
Yeah.
your husband's a headhunter.
Yes. Why can't, or a teacher, or, just a normal role.
I was also curious, what about like healthcare and the healthcare systems? And I mean, beds are bigger and different medical parts and stuff. Do you feel like does that impact healthcare at all?
Not really. There's a lot of accommodations to be made, especially in healthcare. Now, when I had my first child, I have to have C-sections, being a dwarf. But the bassinet was so tall. Austin and I could not get our baby out of this bassinet. We asked the nurses, we were like, can we have a stool? And they were like, we don't have any stools and we can't give you one for liability reasons because if you fall. And we were like, okay. Well, by the third time, we had to hit their call button to hand us our baby.
That's hilarious.
They didn't like that. And they found us this huge, like, box, like PT box platform thing so that we could, and it worked as like a stepping up thing to get onto my bed and then also for getting our child. But that was great. And the funny part is, fast forward 20 months, we're having our second son, same hospital, but one of the nurse managers that we know, her son is a little person. And she was in charge of ordering the new bassinets. And she ordered ones that actually had the capability of going up and down. And so that time around, we didn't have an issue with that accessibility.
Perfect.
And we were like, this is awesome. We were telling every single nurse, we love this. This is great. And then we found out who was in charge of that. And so the next time we saw her, we were like, we love you so much.
Thank you so much. So
And
they
she was
do,
like,
they
I didn't even know.
accommodate.
Didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that was the only like downfall of the first baby.
What do you think the biggest misconceptions are?
That people think that just because we're short, we're less than a human.
What do you mean? Like
Just in general, like we
Really?
don't deserve things. People think we shouldn't be parents. We shouldn't do, you know, things
Like-
like this in life. Like I've had people like tell me like, oh no, let me have them. Like let me take your child. You can't handle that right now. When I'm out in public, and I'm like, no, I've got my
They don't
baby
even know
just
you?
fine. Yeah,
Wow.
they think it's too much for me.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm just short.
That's it.
I'm just short.
Just short.
I'm just short.
What about the good parts of it? You know, what are your favorite parts of being a little person?
Probably the people that I get to meet because of it. Because of the people that do stop you to ask you questions or talk to you. Because there are people that do. Honestly, the best part, Little People of America, wouldn't have met Austin without that. He's from the East Coast. That would have never happened. All of my friends that I've met.
So it has been a topic that's allowed you to meet people that you
Yes,
otherwise wouldn't have.
that you would have never met.
That's really cool.
I mean, because it's like worldwide.
Yeah.
And just a new perspective on life. I mean, it's helped me to go through life with an open mind. I'm always thinking of the other person. I never want to hurt someone. So however I interact with someone, I think about how I'm interacting with them.
That's
because I never want
amazing
to hurt them.
because you know the other side of that.
Yes.
So it's built a ton of empathy in you.
Yes.
Well, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Gosh. Are there any questions you have?
No, I pretty much asked them all. Definitely disappointed to hear that people in general are, you know, not as empathetic as you, we'll say.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool that you used that to actually build more empathy in yourself because you're like, I know what that feels like when people treat me like that. I'm not going to do that to others.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's not cool. And I hope my children will be
I'm
like
just
that
a person. I'm just
You know?
short.
Yes.
That's all. That's the only difference.
too. Yeah. Just trying to raise, be like that, help others to see that and be like that, and then raise the next generation to be like that.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a comment. Show these guests some support. What part impacted you the most so we can make them feel really good. These are real stories and raw emotions. Thank you.